Welcome to Williams Mullen COVID-19 Comeback Plan video series. I'm Dave Albo. I'm an attorney and section leader of our government relations section. This is the second video in a series of videos on doing business with the Commonwealth of Virginia. The last video we called State Procurement 101, and it was an overview of how the state buys and sells goods. And we figure it's probably about $33 billion of purchases a year. This video is for people and companies that are small or women or minority businesses or are service-disabled veterans. You might have heard the acronym SWaM. That stands for Small Women and Minority Businesses. For some reason, they didn't stick a V in that acronym for veterans, but just assume anytime we're saying SWaM, it would also include disabled veterans. At any rate, this video is about how these entities can receive set-asides and credits towards government contracts and how to become a SWaM certified contractor. Basically, in order to help underprivileged or people who have been discriminated in the past, the legislature and the executive branch try to help these people and businesses thrive by giving them an advantage in acquiring state government contracts. Joining me is Elizabeth Rafferty. Elizabeth is a non-attorney government relations director here at Williams Mullen. She worked 12 years in the executive branch of Virginia and most recently in the Secretary of Commerce and Trade's office. And Elizabeth used to be actually one of the government employees who solicited the private sector for goods and services and actually bought them. So she's going to be able to give us an insider view on how it works with SWaM contractors. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Dave.
Hey, so if a person or a business is qualified as small, women or minority owned or disabled veteran, what do they get for that designation?
Sure. So the SWaM program is intended to enhance procurement opportunities for SWaM businesses participating in state-funded projects. You must be certified as a SWaM business by the Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity, or SBSD. They certify businesses with designations, i.e. the micro, small, women-owned, minority-owned, and service-disabled veteran that you mentioned earlier. These designations were established to enhance business opportunities for SWaM businesses and to ensure a level playing field. Becoming SWaM certified includes you in a SWaM vendor directory, which is the listing used by all state procurement officials to locate SWaM certified vendors.
So if you become a SWaM certified vendor, is the Commonwealth or the government, are they encouraged to use SWaM vendors?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the state has a SWaM goal that is set by the governor through executive order. Governor Northam issued Executive Order 35 that set a goal of 42% of discretionary procurement spending to certified small businesses, including those that are women and minority owned. This set-aside requires agencies to use a micro business for purchases up to $10,000 and a small business for most purchases up to $100,000, unless of course there are no small or micro certified businesses that meet the purchase requirements. As an example, if an agency wanted to provide lunch to meeting attendees, the procurement office would review the list of all SWaM certified businesses that SBSD maintains for a certified micro business that will provide box lunches. If an agency maintains a pipeline of projects, the procurement staff may review the pipeline to look for opportunities to find a SWaM supplier in advance of the actual procurement. Proactively looking for opportunities to use a SWaM certified business helps the agency reach their SWaM goal.
So I heard you explain that there's certain set-asides for smaller contracts for small and micro businesses, but what advantages do women, minority, and service-disabled veterans get?
Well, the Commonwealth right now does not have a set-aside program specific to women and minority-owned businesses, but those programs are being evaluated as part of a disparity study process that is currently underway. Also, on all RFPs over $100,000, 20% of the points total is for SWaM. So in order to receive those points, you must be a SWaM business or subcontract with a SWaM business in order to be eligible for full point value on the RFP. Also, as each agency is developing their SWaM plan, they set a spend goal for each certification type. So, for example, an agency might set a goal of 20% for women-owned businesses.
Okay, so a micro or small business gets preference for smaller contracts, and women, minority-owned, and service-disabled veterans get extra points, I guess you'd say, to give them an advantage of winning an RFP. So the next question is, how does a person or business become SWaM certified to get those benefits? And joining us now is Bob Korroch, and Bob is an attorney here at Williams Mullen and co-chair of our government contracts practice, and he works in the SWaM area. Bob, tell us, how would somebody get certified as a SWaM contractor?
Hi, Dave and Elizabeth. Great to join you. Getting certified as a SWaM contractor is managed by the Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity, with which you're both very familiar. They manage that process. They also manage the DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise process, that we might discuss in another program. The application is submitted via an online portal, and also the applicant submits their supporting documentation. The data submitted pertains generally to three factors: the size of the business, the ownership of the business, and control of the business. So for example, tax returns, other financial information might go to the size determination. The bylaws or the operating agreement, stock certificates, those go to ownership and also to control. So going to that size issue, as Elizabeth was mentioning, micro businesses, those are businesses that have 25 or fewer employees and less than $3 million a year in average revenue. Small business in Virginia is 250 employees or an average of $10 million of average revenue over the past 3 years, which is an interesting size standard in Virginia because a company can, the OR gives quite a bit of leeway there. Some companies that have $100 million in revenue still qualify as small because they have fewer than 250 employees. And then to determine women-owned, minority-owned, service-disabled, veteran-owned, that comes from an evaluation of the corporate documents to determine who actually owns and controls the company.
Okay, so sounds like it might be complicated, but can a person do this without a lawyer?
Absolutely. The department is very helpful in guiding companies through the application process. The portal is somewhat self-explanatory. The tripping place that people might consider, and not so much, not suggesting that you have to go directly to a lawyer, but to be careful in reviewing your documents. When you look at corporate documents, for example, those bylaws or operating agreement, and looking at who has control of the company, sometimes those documents have control provisions that let persons who don't qualify in the desired categories to stop the company from doing something. So if you need to have a quorum for an election or something along those lines. So that's an area where if you don't use a lawyer, just be careful to review those documents and consider the qualification requirements. But no, the process is designed for non-lawyers.
Okay, so that brings up this question then. So what happens if the department denies a certification? Can you do anything about it?
You can, but the basic rule is that you can't reapply until 6 months after you've been denied, and that means you can't reapply in the same category. So for example, if you applied for SWaM certification only as small and you were denied, you could still reapply as woman-owned for SWaM certification, but you couldn't reapply just as small. You can also request a waiver. A company can also request a waiver of the 6-month waiting period from the director of the department by submitting a written request for reconsideration. And I know Elizabeth has experience with this process, and it's actually a great opportunity to get a second look at your application. Another element to consider, and this is the informal fact-finding process. This is available to companies that have recertification applications denied. Companies must renew their certification every 5 years. And if a recertification is denied, they can seek this informal fact-finding process, which is a type of small hearing.
Well, thanks, Bob and Elizabeth. And we're trying to keep these videos under 5 minutes. So just want to let you all know that in the future, we're going to do another video, we'll talk about professional services, because professional services are acquired differently than goods in Virginia. Talk about selling information technology, that has a whole separate set of rules. And then also at some point we want to talk about the new features on the Virginia procurement portal called eVirginia. So look forward to seeing us tell you about those things in the future, and thanks for joining us.